Hi, welcome back to the next topic in Chapter 2, Transistor Biasing of PU Board. In the previous classes, we just discussed about the revision, what is biasing, Q point, DC load line, and selecting Q point or designing Q point using two-source method. You know the drawbacks of using two-source method. One, we have to use two power supplies. The cost and the size becomes more. The power consumption is also more. The second one, Q point is not properly stabilized. If I change the transistor, it is going to shift. So, we are going to use different methods. Amongst them, voltage divider biasing is very important and most widely used biasing method. Before we go into the biasing method, let me just discuss about the significance of DC load line or selecting the Q point on different regions of the output characteristics of a transistor. I am Jyoti, working as a lecturer from past 20 years in the field of electronics. So, here we go. Before I start, I urge you to subscribe my channel for more videos. I'm happy that my subscribers list increased to 300, but my target at least is for 500 now. And hit the like button if you like my video or the lesson that I'm teaching, so that these two things will help others to view my channel and understand. Press the notification or the bell icon for latest updates, so that whenever I upload a video, that will be first noticed to you. Share my video, those who are in need, because you know nowadays online class is giving more importance than offline class because of this pandemic situation. So when you share this video, at least those who are not able to have a proper classes can learn something. Also, as I said, like and comment on my video. Thank you one and all. Let me start my topic today. As I said, first I'll show you different Q points on DC load line. This is the circuit we used in the previous chapter for selecting Q point. You can check with the previous videos for the derivation using this circuit. Now, let me use those formulas which I derived in the previous video. For example, case 1, let me take case 1 if IB is 10 micro. This is one example I am giving. For example, you know very well IC is beta IB. And in the problem, it is mentioned beta is 200 and IB it is given as 10 micro. If I substitute 200 into 10, micro is 10 raised to minus 6. Now, 2 zeros with 1 zero, it becomes 10 raised to 3 into 10 raised to minus 6 means totally it becomes 10 raised to minus 3. That is nothing but milli. So that 2 milli is the answer for IC. Next, if I take VCE, the equation for VCE is VCC minus ICRC. What we can call here is, this can be called as ICQ, and if I substitute ICQ value, this will become VCEQ. So suppose if I substitute, VCC is given as 10, this is VCC, this is VBB. So VCC is given as 10 minus ICQ is 2 milli. As I said, milli is 10 raised to minus 3 into RC is 1 kilo ohm. It is given here. Kilo is actually 1000, 10 to the rise 3 or 1000. If I take this, what happens? This will become 10 minus 10 raised to minus 3, 10 raised to 3 get cancels. So I will have only 2. 10 minus 2 is nothing but 8 and it is unit of volt. So, if I take these two, actually Q point is actually given as ICQ, VCEQ. ICQ is 2 milli and VCEQ is 8 volt. If I write this, I will get ICQ and VCEQ as a point. So, Q point will become 2 milliamps, and I will show you now the DC load line diagram. IC is in milliamps, VCE is in cutoff. Let us take this as 10 milliamps IC saturation, VCE cutoff as 10 volt. And if I join this line, what I am going to get is DC load line. This DC load line intersects at many different points depending on the output characteristics. Suppose if I write one more curve, this is also a Q point only. So, I can get to know different intersecting points. Now what happens here? I got Q4 as 2 milliamps and 8 volt. If this is 10, middle will be 5. So somewhere here will be 2. So suppose if I take this as Q 2 milliamps and take this, 8 volt is near to 10. So what I am going to get this intersecting point? This intersecting point is Q4. Second case if I take, if IB is 25 microamps, calculation is on the same basis, formula is also same. IC is equal to beta IB. Let me make this as ICQ as I said or I told earlier. So 200 into 25 micro. Again, if I calculate this, 25 2s are 50 followed by 2 zeros into 10 raised to minus 6. This minus 6 and 3 will cancel, will give me milliamps, and 5 will remain as it is. So then VCEQ I need to calculate. For this VCEQ to calculate, let me make this also as VCEQ is equal to ICQ RC and then substitute the values. 10, 5 milli and 1 K. As it is, milli and kilo get cancels, it becomes 5 ones are 5, 10 minus 5 is 5 volt. So that the Q point is 5 milliamps and 5 volt. That means this value will come somewhere at exactly at the middle because half of 10 is 5, half of 10 is 5. So this is the second Q point that I am showing here. Similarly, on the basis, if I take IB as 40 microamps and I do the same type of calculation, I am getting ICQ as 8 milliamps and VCEQ as 2 volt. If I plot this graph, what I will get is this Q point. That means what I can come to a conclusion here is Q4 is near cutoff region because this is the cutoff region. Q1 is near the saturation region. Q2 is exactly at the center of the active region. Hence, by selecting RC and VCE with the help of beta, I can design Q point. But you know very well, everywhere beta matters, and whenever I change this transistor due to any reason, beta value also will change. When beta value changes, Q value, this will not remain same because ICQ as well as VCEQ depends on this beta value. So this is a major drawback of this two-source method. To avoid this, what we do is we go for different biasing method. Before that, let me stress on this. The significance of DC load line is actually finding different possible Q points on the output characteristic curve. In PU level, we say Q point is the intersection of DC load line and the output characteristics. But actually what we do is, we find two load lines. We find two load lines. One is DC load line and another is AC load line. If this is DC load line, this will become AC load line. These two will have only one intersection which gives a Q point which provides exactly the faithful amplification. So intersection of DC load line and AC load lines gives me the perfect Q point. But at PU level, we just stick on to the intersection of DC load line and output characteristics give me different possible Q points. This is about two source method and Q point. So why do we use to select, or why we need to select a Q point? This is mainly because you know very well transistor can act as a switch, gate, amplifiers, oscillators like this. To operate it as a digital device, it has to be between cutoff region and saturation region. That means the Q point should be between closed switch and open switch. That means it should be operating between saturation region and cutoff region. Whereas if it is operating as an amplifier, Q point should be selected exactly at the center of the active region. This is very, very important. The reason is, if we don't select the operating point exactly at the active region, then we may not get the faithful amplification. This is one fact. Now, types of biasing. There are 4 types of biasing. First one, base bias or fixed biasing method. Base bias or fixed biasing method. Second one, emitter feedback biasing. Third one, collector to base bias or base feedback bias method. The fourth one is voltage divider bias, which is what is very, very important, which is what is called as universal biasing method, and this is what we are going to discuss today. So next we start with voltage divider bias. The circuit and the DC load line like this. That means you have to have a transistor. From the base of the transistor, connect 2 resistors R1 and R2. Then from collector RC, 2 ends of these 2 resistors connected to VCC. From emitter, connect an RE. These 2 ends R2 and RE should be grounded. When I finish this connection, actually speaking, this is a positive of the supply. The circuit will be like this. This will become VCC. If we write like this, it becomes or looks very complicated. So we make it as very simple like this. Now, if a current flows through this current is called as collector current because it is flowing through collector. The voltage drop across this resistor is called as collector voltage ICRC. Let me write this as capital since we are dealing with DC. Then the current flowing through this is actually emitter current IE. IE-RE will make it as voltage drop across the emitter, that is VE. Then the voltage drop across these two is called as VCA since it is a voltage across collector and emitter. With this, if I take a DC load line, this is IC saturation. Actually, this formula we are going to derive in the next slide. IC saturation is VCC by RC plus RE. Earlier, two source method, IC saturation was VCC by RC. Now, you can see this is important. Because of this, we will get Q point stabilized. RE stabilizes the Q point. That is why it is called as universal biasing method. Whereas this formula doesn't change. VCE cutoff still remains as VCC only. And the intersection of ICQ and VCEQ gives me the Q point. So with this little introduction, let us start deriving the formula. Now, I have already given an introduction to this circuit. Let me go through. R1 and R2 looks like neither series in nor in parallel. But when a current flows through here, let me take this as IR1. It has to come here and it has to split. This is what KCL states, Kirchhoff's voltage law. Suppose if this is IR2 and this is IB, you know IB is usually in microamps, that is 10 raised to minus 6. Whereas this is in milli or greater than that. So what happens? Suppose if I take this as 10 milliamps, for example I am giving, here I will get 9.999 milliamps, here I will get 0.001 milliamps. So what happens? This current can be negligible. I can consider as IR1 is equal to IR2 or approximately equal to IR2. When the current flowing through two resistors will be same, can you tell me? It is nothing but when these two are in series. So we assume that R1 and R2 are in series. And also you should remember, in series only voltage gets divided. Hence the name voltage divider bias. Now, with this, one more thing we should remember, emitter base is forward biased, collector base is always reverse biased. So that when we go for derivation, before that, voltage divider biasing provides excellent stabilization of Q point. And hence, it is called as universal method because of this point, excellent stabilization. It is most preferred biasing for amplification and hence it is most widely used. That's why it is called as universal biasing. Now, the biasing method makes Q point independent because Q point becomes independent automatically with the help of the resistor Re, that is emitter resistor. It is also known as self-biasing method. But that means even you change the transistor, I said you previously, if I change the transistor, what is the problem? So even if I change the transistor, beta value, even if it is changes, that doesn't make Q point shift anywhere. It is fixed in that position where we design. Hence, it is called as self-biasing method. So, these are the two names given for universal biasing, self-biasing method are the two names given for voltage divider biasing method. Then, what are its advantages? See, before I go to the derivation, I just want to discuss all these things, then we'll move on to derivations. At least if you know the history and the use, then you can understand it clearly. Q point is independent of beta and temperature. Hence, it provides excellent stabilization. This is very, very important. It provides excellent stabilization. This is very, very important. Then, voltage divider bias provides better amplification. Why better amplification? When Q point is fixed, it will not change. Means by any chance there is no chance for getting unfaithful amplification. Hence, it gives or provides better amplification. Next, it makes the stabilization of Q point automatic. That means we need not have to do anything. Once the circuit is designed, automatically it takes care of Q point. And most widely used. Since it is most widely used, it has other name called as universal biasing method. Since it has a self-stabilizing property, its Q point becomes independent. With these two itself, you can write these four advantages. All these four advantages are interrelated. That is why I highlighted the blue, the very important thing with blue color, so that you can remember easily and write it. This is about advantages of voltage divider biasing. Now let us analyze voltage divider circuit. As I said, you can notice here I have taken this VCC circuit like this so that you can understand when we apply KVL. So first one, Q point, let us see. Then we'll go for end points. Now let us see for Q point first and then we'll go for end points. When I need to derive for Q point, what I need to do is, first I should start with input. Let me know what is the voltage across this. This voltage will be called by different names. VR2, VB, V2. Any one name we can call, but most preferable name is VB because this is the voltage drop across base. And this is VBE, which is the voltage drop across base and emitter due to forward bias. Now, let me take a voltage divider rule because as I said earlier, R1 and R2 behaves as a series circuit so that I can apply voltage divider rule. What voltage divider rule says? Voltage across any resistor is equal to main voltage into that branch of voltage divided by sum. Now, voltage across R2 is equal to, that is VB is equal to, applied voltage is VCC into that branch resistor is R2 divided by sum is R1 and R2. So, equation becomes VCC into R2 by R1 plus R2. Again, apply KVL now to this mesh. When I apply KVL, I can do it in two ways, as if the polarities of the currents I can take it, write the normal KVL equation, how usually physics students will follow. But I can even say in a different way, that is, in this loop, VB is a constant voltage. Since it depends on VCC, R1 and R2, all are constants, I can write for a particular circuit, VB is constant. When VB is constant, I can consider this as a source, so that I can treat one source and two drops. Even otherwise, I can say current is flowing like this and like this. So, I can take the voltage drops. This will become the polarities I can write. Current entering is positive, leaving is negative. Entering is positive, leaving is negative. And I take this. These two will have one formula and this will have one. This will become, in this case, current is actually entering like this. This is plus and this is minus. When I write like this, I will get minus VB plus VBE plus VE is equal to 0, since if I don't consider any voltage source. If I rearrange, I will get the same equation. If you rearrange and see, you will get the same equation. So, two ways we can go about it. So, VB is equal to VBE plus, instead of VE, I will replace it by IERE. And I will rearrange this. Actually, VB minus VBE is equal to IERE. Now, if I rearrange this for IE, I will get this. Since I took current flowing through R1 is same as R2, I can neglect IB. IB is neglected. When I neglect IB, you know the equation of a transistor, IE is equal to IC plus IB. If I neglect this, IC is approximately equal to IE. So, instead of IE, I can replace it by IC, which is ICQ I can call, because this is a Q point value, which is equal to VB minus VBE by RE. Notice here there is no beta value at all, and hence because of this formula Q point is actually stabilized, and in this matter VBE RE plays a very important role. Now apply KVL to output circuit. Algebraic sum of the potential rise, only one source, so only VCC, is equal to algebraic sum of the potential drops. There are 3 drops in the circuit, that is why we have given it clearly here. VC plus VCE plus VE. I have written that. Instead of VC, I have replaced it by ICRC. Instead of VE, I have replaced it by IERE. Now, since IE is approximately equal to IC as we did here, I can replace this IE as ICRE, so that from here to here I can take IC common, RC plus RE will be inside. And if I rearrange this for VCE, it will be VCC minus IC into RC plus RE. This is plus. Now what happens? If I need to know what is VCEQ, substitute ICQ value. So VCEQ is equal to VCC minus ICQ into RC plus RE. This is for Q point of a voltage divider biasing. That is what has been marked here. Coming to the end points. Already we have this equation. That is why I wanted to take this in the end. Already we have written the output equation KVL. And you know very well, when I have a line like this, if I want this, I should substitute x-axis value as 0. That means VCE is equal to 0. Since x-axis I am taking it as VCE. When I want this value, then y-axis should be 0. Y-axis is IC, implies I need to substitute IC for 0. So 2 times we need to substitute and find out. In this equation, first let me substitute VCE 0. If I write VCE 0, this will get cancelled. I will have VCC is equal to IC into RC plus RE. Rearrange IC is equal to VCC by RE plus RC, but this is nothing but the maximum point here, and maximum point is called as saturation point. So instead of just writing IC is equal to VCC by RC plus RE, we prefer to write it as IC saturation point. Then coming to the second portion, IC should be substituted as 0. If I substitute this IC 0, this whole thing get vanished. I will have VCC is equal to VCE. So when I have VCC is equal to VCE and this is at the cutoff region, I can replace this as VCE cutoff is equal to VCC. So I got 2 end points and I got 2 Q points. So definitely I can get the DC load line as well as the Q point for a voltage divider biasing circuit. I hope you have understood this concept clearly. Again, I will ask you to subscribe my channel and also hit the like button so that this will give me motivation to do more videos on electronics. Further, I may plan to do more projects on practicals and physics oriented topics. Thank you one and all.